Okay, so we are now on section 3.2, preparing a budget sheet. In our first indication here, it says list at least 3 examples of living expenses. So in this case, you can use different examples, but I'm going to mention the ones from our previous section, which can be the mortgage payment of the house, electric bills, and groceries. So in question number 2, it says, what is the difference between a fixed expense and living expense? So the difference is that fixed expenses don't vary from one month to the next. An example of that could be your rent, your subscription to Netflix, for example, is something that you will constantly be paying for the same amount. Our third question, it says, what are annual expenses and what is an example of it? So annual expenses occur only once a year. An example could be the insurance premiums, where you have a plan where you only pay once a month. And another example could be real estate taxes. Now we are going to continue with this formula, the total monthly expenses. The formula for the total monthly expenses equals to monthly living expenses plus monthly fixed expenses plus monthly share of annual expenses. Now we go to our concept check. So for number 1, we need to find the total monthly expenses. We have that our living is $670. Our fixed expenses are $800. And the share of the annual expenses are $350. So step number 1 is to sum the total of those monthly expenses. Okay. Again, this is the formula that we are using right here. Now we are going to write each of the amounts. So number 1, our living expenses. Those are $670. Our second amount, which is the fixed expenses, are $800. And the share of annual expenses is $350. So when we go ahead and add all of the amounts, we're going to have $670 plus $800 plus $350. We have now a total of $1,820. Okay? That is our answer right there. Now we go to our next example. It says, find the monthly share of annual expenses when living expenses are $1,200. Our fixed expenses are $1,600. And our annual expenses are $4,800. We also have to find the total monthly expenses. So how are we going to do this? We are going to use in our first step this formula that is given for us. That is, the monthly share of annual expenses are equal to the annual expenses divided by 12. Okay, remember there's 12 months every year. So find the monthly share of annual expenses. Up here in the example, it says that our annual expenses are $4,800. And following this formula, we are going to divide it always by 12. When we do this, $4,800 divided by 12, we are going to have a total of $400, which is our monthly share of annual expenses. Okay, so in our stat number 2, we use the first formula that we were using before, which is for the total monthly expenses. Okay, so we go back and we say, okay, so our living expenses, according to the example, were $1,200, and then our monthly fixed expenses is $1,600, and our monthly share of annual is what we just found. Okay, so that's 400. We are going to simply add all of the amounts, so that's 1,200 plus 1,600 plus 400. That gives me a total of $3,200. So here is my answer. Now please go to your textbook, look for section 3.2, and complete the homework, which is problems 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11.